This planet was found, or was it given to us? In the farthest corner of the galaxy, among hundreds of billions of stars, a tiny planet orbits. Its name is Earth. This is our home, but where did it come from? Why did life arise here, in this place? And, most importantly, did we really find it? Or did someone leave it to us on purpose? This chapter is the first step in a great study of what we are accustomed to considering reality. We will consider not only scientific theories, but also those hypotheses that most people prefer to ignore. Uniqueness that scares. In our Milky Way galaxy, there are more than 100 billion stars, and planets orbit almost every one of them. It would seem that life should be everywhere. But we have not yet found a single other planet where there would be at least something similar to Earth. Earth has liquid water on the surface, a breathable atmosphere, a constant gravitational field, a stable climate, a single large satellite that stabilizes the axis of rotation, a magnetosphere that protects from solar radiation, the ideal distance from the star. This is not just a set of parameters. This is a highly precise system where changing one element makes all life impossible. The probability of such conditions occurring by chance is negligible. And here comes the hypothesis. What if it is not a coincidence? The anthropic principle and cosmic tuning. There is a scientific concept known as the anthropic principle. It states that the universe is as we see it precisely because we exist to see it. It sounds logical. But it is like a trick. We are alive because we live in a universe that allows us to live. The problem is that our universe is too convenient. Physical constants, gravity, the strength of nuclear interactions, all values are tuned to an accuracy of y-40. Change even one parameter, and matter could not exist. Who made this tuning? Is it natural selection at the level of universes? Or did someone create all this in advance? Planet Starter. Earth as a programmable object. In 2022, a group of physicists from Oxford and Harvard published a theoretical model where the universe is considered as a simulated object. Simply put, our universe may be a computer program. If this is so, then the Earth is not just a random point, but a model platform where observations are made. The confirmation of this hypothesis is not only philosophical, but also practical. Space is quantized. It is not continuous, but pixel time as minimal. Units, Planck mathematics, is at the heart of everything. As in a program code, all natural laws are mathematically elegant. It seems that reality did not arise by itself, but was created, a gift or an experiment. The Earth could be a gift from a higher civilization, as a place for life, a container for a biological species that is being observed, an experiment, a planet where evolution is studied, a simulation, a training or punishment environmental. These scenarios have the right to exist. Some texts of ancient cultures, Sumerian, Indian, Aztec, describe gods who created people and descended from the sky. Sometimes these descriptions are too technical to be fiction. Fiery chariots, flying machines, knowledge of anatomy, astronomy. Could these gods have been the ones who brought Earth or prepared it for us? The absence of evidence is also evidence. Modern science has one great paradox. We know almost nothing about our deep history, lost civilizations and the megaliths, indecipherable text myths that coincide all over the planet at the same time. We have no external signal from space. No contact. No photos of alien life. Why? And what if we are in isolation on purpose? What if the planet is a closed environment, like a terrarium? The zoo theory. In 1973, astronomer John Ball put forward the idea that we are part of a cosmic zoo. Other civilizations may be watching us, but they don't interfere. Humanity is a species that is being watched and has been given a habitat. Earth, in this case, is part of an artificial ecosystem designed for our development. When we reach a certain level, contact will occur. For now, we are under surveillance. And this explains the silence of space. Earth as a beacon or portal. Is another theory. Earth is not just a place for life, but a signal point, a planet that emits a certain type of energy or information accessible only to certain forms of intelligence. That is, it was left here not for us, but for those who will come later. We are only temporary residents, or maybe part of the warm-up before the main event. And what if everything is the other way around? There is another possibility. We ourselves are the creators of the Earth, but in the future, we do not yet realize that time is not linear. Perhaps in 10,000 years, humanity will learn to travel through time, create planets, and create Earth in the past. And then it turns out, we receive this planet as a gift from ourselves. The cycle is closed. Cause and effect have merged. Earth is too perfect to be a coincidence. Its parameters, location, evolutionary trajectory, everything indicates that we were either invited here or created it specifically. The nature of planetary origins. What makes a planet? Earth is our home, but do we own it? The cosmos is a place of endless possibilities, and its vast variety of planets is proof that planetary formation is not just a matter of chance, but what makes a planet? How does it come about? Are there forces that govern its origin? This chapter will take a detailed look at how the process of planet formation works, and whether there are any other artificial origins for planets. The natural origin of planets. According to popular scientific theory, planets form from clouds of gas and dust that fill space. This process is known as accretion, when dust and gas surrounding a young star gradually coalesce into larger objects. This seems logical. However, Earth is a planet with very specific parameters. Its ideal orbit, its precise location in the zone where liquid water can exist, and even its chemical composition are unique among other planets in our galaxy. And even within this theory, there are significant questions. How does the accretion process produce such a perfectly aligned planet? Is it more than just a physical coincidence? The Earth's ideal orbit and stability. Of Earth's greatest mysteries is its orbit. Not only is it at the right distance from the Sun, but it has also been stable for billions of years. Without such stability, the climate would be chaotic, and the evolution of life would be impossible. Why does Earth have this particular orbit? Coincidence. And how is this stability maintained? A cosmic balance designed to support life, or even a balance that other forces deliberately maintain, so that the planet continues to exist in an ideal state? This could be evidence that Earth was designed to be optimal for life. The Moon, a critical element that isn't random. One of the biggest mysteries for astronomers is how the Moon came to be. Unlike other planets in the solar system, Earth has one large moon, and this makes our planet unique. Most planets either have no moons, or have several small ones, but our moon is huge compared to Earth. Its presence contributes to the stability of the Earth, orbiting around us and stabilizing the tilt of its axis, which ensures regular seasons and a temperate climate. Why is this so? If we find a planet with such a moon in space, wouldn't it be an indication that the moon is not just a random object? Water. Where did it come from? One of Earth's greatest anomalies is water. It's not that water is on the planet, it's not unusual within the galaxy. But the question is, how did water get to Earth? Based on the theory of accretion, it is believed that water could have originated from comets that brought it to the planet. However, this explanation does not answer the main question. Why does the Earth contain such an amount of water that is not found on other planets? The answer may be simple. The water was poured onto the planet from the outside, perhaps intentionally, to create an environment for life. Maybe someone believed that without water, the Earth could not be viable. And although this hypothesis remains theoretical, the fact that such conditions exist that allow liquid water to be maintained on the surface of the planet seems unusual for our understanding of physics, simulating life, or creating an environment. One of the most exciting theories is the assumption that the Earth may be an artificially created environment created for life. This can be compared to a laboratory or, perhaps, a large ecosystem designed to study evolutionary processes. Imagine that the Earth is a system with parameters that must be stable and ideal for the development of a certain species. Then the question arises again: who created this environment? Why and for what purpose? This can be very similar to observing an experiment. We, as a species, are part of a huge experiment in studying evolution, the development of which can be either natural or artificially directed. Earth as part of a grand cosmic planet Earth may not be just a planet that accidentally appeared in space. It may be part of a grand cosmic plan. It is possible that it is not just a planet on which life was born, but a region of the universe where life develops, which is important for the entire cosmos. But how does this idea relate to scientific ideas about the origin of planets? If the Earth was not created by chance, and its presence is important for the development of life, then perhaps there is a grand cosmic plan, the purpose of which has not yet been revealed, space zoo or intervention of civilizations. Another theory worth noting is the space zoo hypothesis, which suggests that Earth may be a surveillance environment created by other civilizations. These civilizations may even be intervening in our existence, observing the development of life. Earth, as a planet, may be a kind of experiment or exhibit in this space zoo. The lack of clear signals from other civilizations may indicate that we are being monitored, and therefore contact with us has not yet occurred. The Earth is like a large aquarium, where we may be just witnesses to the unfolding of a great cosmic game. The Earth is too unique to be a coincidence. Its shape, its parameters, its evolutionary path, everything indicates that it may be part of a larger cosmic process. Perhaps someone from outside created it, so that we could evolve. Perhaps we ourselves have become part of a great experiment that is unfolding within the universe. The question remains: did we find the Earth, or did someone give it to us? The role of life and evolution, nature's art or a program. Life on Earth is so complex that it is hard to believe that it arose by chance. Every species, every organism, every molecule in organisms on the planet functions in close harmony with all the other elements of the environment. The system is so advanced that it often seems as if it was specially designed. The complexity of life on Earth, is a vast web of relationships where each element is part of a larger mechanism. For this mechanism to work, it is necessary for each organism to play its role in a complex ecosystem. This requires finely tuned processes. Evolution gives us the best explanation of how life can change and adapt to new conditions. But what about evolutionary leaps, when species appear suddenly and with huge changes in their biology? Why are some species extremely successful and others not? This may be evidence that life on Earth is not the result of simple random evolution, but part of a more complex and directed process, a common denominator for all organisms. One of the most fascinating things that scientists have discovered is that all organisms on Earth share common biological characteristics. All organisms use the same DNA to store genetic information, and all organisms use the same basic molecules to exchange energy, such as ATP. Why do all organisms on the planet have the same biological basis? Perhaps this indicates that life on Earth arose from a single source, or even more interestingly, that all these organisms were prepared to function in a certain way in this particular ecosystem. Theories of directed evolution. It is known that evolution occurs through natural selection, but there are other possibilities. Some scientists suggest that evolution can be directed. That is, the change of species and adaptation to the environment is not a random process, but the result of an external influence or plan. There are also hypotheses that the development of life was influenced not only by natural conditions, but also by certain intellectual forces. This can be interpreted as an external influence on evolution, where certain species were directed to develop in a specific direction. In some cases, the evolutionary process can be accelerated or slowed down, which makes this process similar to a controlled program. The influence of external forces. Alien hypotheses. Every year, the number of studies that try to prove that life on Earth may not be only the result of local evolutionary processes is increasing. There is a hypothesis that alien civilizations could have influenced the evolution of terrestrial life. Ideas about panspermia, the theory according to which life was brought to Earth from other parts of the universe, are not new. They have become popular because most scientific studies show that the elements necessary for the formation of life could have been brought by comets or asteroids, which led to the emergence of life on our planet. This theory is also supported by the fact that certain organic molecules, such as amino acids, have been discovered on comets and cosmic particles, which confirms the possibility of panspermia as a way to deliver organic components to Earth. Brilliant tuning. All the factors that formed the Earth and created the conditions for the development of life seem to be extremely carefully tuned. Mismatch of even one of the parameters of the planet could make life impossible. Distance from the sun, quality of the atmosphere, the presence of water, temperature, all these conditions seem to be those that must be correctly tuned to ensure life. The question arises, could this be a coincidence? Perhaps this balance was achieved intentionally so that we could exist and develop. Life on Earth has many complex and interdependent mechanisms. From the beginning of evolution to the development of each species, the Earth seems uniquely tuned for life to thrive on it, but it can also be interpreted as part of a larger plan or program that was created for a specific purpose. Who or what could have been the creator of this plan? Parallel realities and the multiverse. Are there other Earths? Since we began to delve into the study of space and the universe, humanity has pondered one of the greatest mysteries. Are there other realities similar to ours? Could our Earth be just one of many planets in a multiverse, an infinite number of parallel universes? If so, what does this mean for our own identity and for the entire history of our planet? Multiverse theory, the idea of a multiverse, according to which there are several or even infinite parallel universes, has gained popularity in recent decades thanks to physicists and cosmologists such as Stephen Hawking and Brian Greene. These scientists proposed the concept that our universe is just one of many, which may have their own physical laws, variations in time and space. The multiverse can be imagined as a vast cosmic ocean, where each bubble is a separate universe that exists simultaneously with the others. This could be both spatial and temporal, allowing for the existence of realities similar to our Earth, or even completely different ones. If so, then perhaps Earth is just one of many planets in this vast structure. But if so, why don't we encounter other realities? Can we ever go beyond our universe? The theory of multiverse design, rather than viewing the multiverse as a simple coincidence where different universes are formed randomly, there is the idea that these universes could have been created for a specific purpose. Perhaps they were designed or orchestrated by some higher power that could create an infinite number of possible realities for observation, study, or experiment. This raises the question of whether other Earths could exist in these parallel realities, and could we one day go beyond our universe and interact with them? Many Earths. Is there such a thing? Imagine that there are dozens, hundreds, or even millions of realities where Earth has slightly different conditions for life. Perhaps in one of these universes, Earth looks almost the same, but with some significant differences. For example, perhaps on another Earth dinosaurs would not have appeared, and other creatures would have become dominant, or even human civilization would not have arisen. But can we find out if this is so? How could we find out if there are other versions of Earth in other realities? This question opens up a huge number of possibilities for research. And if these realities exist, it is possible that Earth is not a random planet, but one of many planets created for a specific purpose. Can we travel between realities? One of the most interesting questions that arises before us in the context of the multiverse is whether we can ever travel between parallel realities. How could we do this? Do we have the ability to influence the development of events in other realities, if they exist? And are there technologies or forces that make it possible? The idea of traveling between realities raises even more questions. Can we influence events in another universe? How can we find out if there are other Earths? And can we interact with them? Perhaps the most interesting question of all is whether we could ever know if we were created to be part of a grand experiment that encompasses not only our Earth, but also a multitude of parallel universes. The theory of entangled realities. In the world of quantum physics, there is a concept called quantum entanglement, which states that particles, even if they are at great distances from each other, can interact, changing each other instantly, regardless of distance. What if this means that our realities can also be entangled with each other? Perhaps we live in a reality where certain events in one reality can affect another. And if that's the case, then the question of are there other Earths may not just be theoretical. It may be a part of our everyday lives that we don't notice. Consciousness and interaction with parallel realities. Another question that arises in the context of the multiverse is whether we have consciousness that is capable of interacting with other realities, if other Earths exist, and if their realities have different physical laws or rules. Can our consciousness or thinking interact with them? This becomes interesting when we consider how consciousness shapes our reality. We may not even realize that our actions in certain cases can affect these parallel realities. Possibility of observing other realitious cosmos is vast, and even if other realities exist, we cannot observe them right now. The technologies we need to explore these realities do not yet exist, and may not be available to us for a very long time. However, this does not mean that we cannot consider this possibility and try to unravel the mysteries behind other realities. If we exist in one reality among an infinite number of others, then perhaps every choice we make, every action we take, is part of something greater that we do not yet fully understand. The multiverse may be the answer to one of the deepest questions that has troubled humanity. Is our Earth just one of many possible realities? If so, can we find ways to interact with these other realities? And if our universe is just a part of something bigger, were we an accident, or was Earth created specifically for us to explore and experience the richness of the universe? Ancient civilizations' technology, could they have access to knowledge we don't have? Since ancient times, humanity has been trying to understand how civilization arose and how our ancestors were able to reach such great heights without modern technology. Huge megalithic structures, incredibly accurate astronomical observations, complex mathematical concepts, all of these are part of ancient cultures, which raises a number of questions. How were they able to reach such heights without the appropriate tools? And is it possible that these civilizations had access to knowledge or technology that was extremely advanced for their time? Megaliths and their mystery. One of the most mysterious parts of ancient civilizations are megalithic structures, huge stone monoliths built thousands of years ago. Examples of such structures include Stonehenge in the UK, the pyramids at Giza, and numerous megalithic complexes in other parts of the world. These structures are not only impressive in their size, but also in their precise location and orientation. How were ancient people able to build such objects using primitive tools? Could they have had access to the technology that allowed them to do such complex work? This question still remains open to many researchers. Ancient astronomical knowledge. Another amazing feature of ancient civilizations is their deep astronomical knowledge. Ancient peoples such as the Egyptians, Mesopotamians, Maya, and others had extremely accurate calendars and a good understanding of the movements of stars, planets, and solar cycles. The Maya, for example, created a calendar that was more accurate than ours today and allowed them to predict solar eclipses with great precision. How were these cultures able to develop such knowledge without telescopes or other sophisticated instruments? What methods and tools did they use to study the cosmos? This raises the possibility that ancient civilizations may have had access to knowledge that has been lost over time or has been preserved only in partial forms. Lost technologies. Another interesting theory is that ancient civilizations may have possessed technologies that were so advanced that they could have caused catastrophic changes on the planet. This is the theory of lost technologies that could have been used by cultures such as the Atlanteans, Sumerians, or Indians. These technologies may include extremely powerful energy sources that could have been used to create and control building structures or to process materials, which is currently impossible to recreate using modern technology. What happened to this knowledge? Was it destroyed as a result of global catastrophes, or was it perhaps deliberately hidden? Contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. There are many theories that suggest that ancient civilizations may have had contact with extraterrestrial civilizations or even received help from them. Archaeological findings, such as depictions of UFOs in ancient paintings and artifacts, raise questions about whether extraterrestrials may have had an influence on the development of humanity in ancient times. A number of ancient texts, such as the Sumerian tablets or the Indian epics, mention beings descending from the heavens and possessing knowledge that seemed completely impossible at the time. This may be evidence that humanity was not limited in its development by its own resources and knowledge. Perhaps external forces played an important role in the formation of ancient civilizations. Amazing engineering achievements. One of the most impressive achievements of ancient civilizations is their engineering achievements. For example, the Egyptian pyramids were built from huge stone blocks, some of which weigh up to several hundred tons. How were people of that time able to move and process such huge stones? There are various theories to explain these achievements. Some scholars believe that very primitive tools and a large number of workers were used, but others suggest that the technology of ancient civilizations may have been much more advanced than we think. Could they have had access to machines or other mechanisms that would have allowed them to perform such complex work? Technology and mysticism. The connection between ancient technology and mystical beliefs is also worth noting. Some theories suggest that ancient cultures may have used rituals and technology simultaneously to achieve their goals. Perhaps mystical practices and technology were intertwined, and what we today consider magic or religion was actually part of a more complex technology that ancient civilizations possessed. Ancient documents and mysterious texts. Unknown ancient texts, such as the Celestial Codex from Mesopotamia or the Vedas from India, contain knowledge that seems extremely complex and profound. Could these texts contain clues to ancient technologies that were used to achieve great achievements? And why have these texts gone largely unnoticed for centuries? Loss of knowledge and cultural heritage. What happened to all these achievements and technologies? Why can't we recreate much of what ancient civilizations achieved? One possible reason is that much knowledge was lost as a result of global catastrophes or natural disasters that destroyed ancient civilizations. This could be evidence that there was a global catastrophe that led to the collapse of civilizations and the destruction of a huge amount of technology and knowledge. Ancient civilizations were capable of extraordinary technological achievements, but many mysteries remain about how they did it. Were they part of a greater plan, or did they have access to external sources of knowledge? Lost technologies, connections to extraterrestrial civilizations, and incredible engineering achievements challenge traditional ideas about the development of humanity. Perhaps Earth is not a random planet, but part of a grand experiment or even a multifaceted plan that goes far beyond human understanding. Human development. Are there invisible factors in our evolution? Human evolution is a story of change that has taken place over millions of years. From the time our distant ancestors left the forests and became bipedal to the present day, we have followed a path that seems logical and understandable. However, is it possible that there were invisible forces or factors involved in this process that could have influenced our existence? Could other civilizations, extraterrestrial or supernatural, have somehow interfered with our evolution? Were we truly the result of natural development, or were there perhaps other forces that contributed to our progress. The idea of intelligent design of evolution. The idea of intelligent design is gaining popularity among some scientists and philosophers who believe that the evolution of humanity is not a random process, but was designed by some higher power or even extraterrestrial beings. They argue that certain aspects of our biology and consciousness are too complex to be the result of random mutations and natural selection alone. According to this theory, our evolution may have been directed, and the changes we have experienced are the result of purposeful actions. It is possible that some higher power or extraterrestrial civilization influenced our evolution, creating the conditions for the development of intelligence and technology. The cosmic dependency position. There is a theory that the Earth may not have been placed in space by chance. The location of our planet in a certain place, its atmosphere, and the conditions for the development of life may have been specially selected so that we could evolve. Could other civilizations or even higher powers have chosen this particular place so that we could become what we are? This calls into question the traditional idea of the randomness of evolution. Perhaps our evolution was not accidental, but part of a global strategy to create advanced civilizations that could contribute to the development of technology and culture on planets. Mutations and amazing changes. One of the most intriguing topics is the sudden and extremely complex mutations that led to the development of humans and other complex life forms. Why did our ancestors acquire such enormous mental capacity compared to other animals? Why are we, humans, capable of self-awareness, art, and the creation of technology, while many other animal species do not exhibit similar traits? Is it possible that some mutations were triggered by external forces? Perhaps some of these mutations are not the result of ordinary natural selection, but are the result of external influence. Perhaps extraterrestrial civilizations, or even other intelligent beings, could somehow make changes to our DNA or influence our environment. The possibility of genetic interference. Many cultures have legends about gods or aliens who intervened in people's lives, giving them certain knowledge, skills, or even changing their physical characteristics. This idea of genetic interference. Could ancient civilizations or extraterrestrial beings change our genetic codes to promote our development? Some scientists suggest that there are signs that our genetics may contain traces of interference or genetic manipulation by more advanced civilizations. This question remains open because scientific advances in the field of genetics are only beginning to reveal all the possibilities contained in our DNA. The role of consciousness in evolution. Human consciousness is another mystery that does not have a direct answer in traditional theories of evolution. Why are humans capable of self-awareness, deep abstract thoughts, creativity, and art? It seems that consciousness was an important stage in our evolution, but it is not something simple and natural in the context of the development of the species. Perhaps consciousness is not simply the result of brain evolution, but may be the result of extra-evolutionary factors. It may be the result of manipulation or the influence of some supernatural or extraterrestrial forces that have deliberately built into our genetic code the possibility of self-awareness. This may mean that our ability to think, to create culture and technology is part of the plan. Parallels with other civilizations. Comparing our development with the development of other civilizations in the cosmos can help answer the question of whether there are features in our evolution that are not inherent in other species. No matter how hard we try to find life on other planets, the possibility of finding other intelligent civilizations remains an open question. If there are other intelligent beings in the cosmos, could they have different evolutionary paths than ours? Can we compare their development with ours to understand what is unique about our evolution? Perhaps we are indeed special, and the possibility of contact with other civilizations only emphasizes this uniqueness. Implications for future development. If our evolution was partly guided or interfered with by other forces, What does this mean for our future development? Can we expect further changes in our genetic code or in our consciousness if other forces continue to influence us? Perhaps our technological advances, our advances in space and science, are just the first steps toward something bigger. What if our future turns out to be closely linked to other advanced civilizations? And if so, then our evolution is not complete. Our understanding of human evolution would be just one part of a larger picture, in which outside forces may have played a significant role. Technology, genetic changes, consciousness, all these aspects of our development may be much more complex and mysterious than we realize. Are we the product of natural evolution, or were we guided by higher powers or extraterrestrial civilizations? These questions remain unresolved, and perhaps we are only at the beginning of understanding how and why we are here. Ancient artifacts and technology, could they be evidence of extraterrestrial influence? Throughout human history, archaeologists and historians have found artifacts that challenge our understanding of ancient civilizations. Some of these artifacts seem too complex for their time, while others simply cannot be explained by traditional archaeology. This suggests that ancient civilizations may have had access to technology or knowledge that was far beyond their time. The Antikythera mechanism, an ancient computer. One of the most impressive artifacts ever discovered is the Antikythera mechanism. This ancient mechanism, found on a shipwreck near the Greek island of Antikythera, dates back to around 100 BC and is considered one of the most complex technological designs before the Industrial Revolution. The mechanism, often compared to the first computer, is used for astronomical calculations, such as predicting the positions of planets and solar eclipses. How was it created without modern tools and technology? Could ancient civilizations have possessed knowledge and technology that was so advanced that we cannot understand it today? Treasures from the Tripolian culture and other unusual artifacts. Artifacts found in cultures such as the Tripolian culture in Ukraine are sometimes astonishing in their complexity and craftsmanship. Several objects, dating back to 6000 to 3000 BC, include highly detailed ceramic wares, featuring patterns and geometric shapes that seem to be beyond the technological capabilities of the time. There is even speculation that these artifacts may have been the result of external forces or even extraterrestrial civilizations. When comparing these artifacts to other materials found in ancient cultures, many people note that the technology for their creation seems too complex for the people of that time. Could these people have had the knowledge or tools to create such details? The Hindu astrolabe and ancient instruments for measuring time. Astrolabes are one example of ancient instruments that were used to measure time, determine the location of stars, and even make astronomical measurements. They have been found in various parts of the world, including the Indian civilization, which is impressive for its level of accuracy for the time. But interestingly, many of these instruments have elements that resemble modern technology, such as mathematical principles and mechanisms used in modern astronomical calculations. How could this have been possible without modern knowledge of mechanics and engineering? Could ancient civilizations have possessed tools or technologies that were later lost or replaced by more modern counterparts? Stone skulls from Latin America are one of the most mysterious ancient artifacts that cannot be explained by traditional archaeological theories. Is the stone skulls found in Latin America. These skulls, which were made from various types of stone, are so intricately crafted that researchers wonder how ancient civilizations could have created such detail with such precision. Given the lack of modern stone tools, the stone skulls, which are often described as remarkably lifelike, have features that seem to demonstrate technical knowledge that would not have been available to people at the time. This raises the possibility that ancient civilizations had access to technology that we still cannot replicate. Pyramids, geometry, and astronomy. One of the greatest mysterious achievements of ancient civilizations is the pyramids. The pyramids of Egypt, Mexico, Central America, and numerous megalithic structures on other continents demonstrate extraordinary precision in construction and geometry. The precision of their location in relation to astronomical objects and their ability to perform astronomical functions has puzzled many modern researchers. Although there are many theories about how the pyramids could have been built, many wonder, were these structures created using alien technology? Or could they have been part of a larger cultural network that had access to technologies that would have seemed extraordinary at the time? Questions about alien technologies and their vanished civilizations. If these ancient artifacts may be evidence of technologies that we do not understand, it also raises questions about the civilizations that left them behind. Could these civilizations have been much older than the cultures we traditionally know? And could their technology have been destroyed or forgotten over time? Perhaps these civilizations were part of a larger network of technologically advanced cultures that lost their knowledge through global catastrophes or other natural factors. This raises the question of whether their war-surf is part of a grand experiment where different civilizations had the opportunity to develop to a certain level, after which their technology and knowledge were lost or replaced by new forms of civilization. Ancient artifacts are a kind of keys to the solution of our roots. They question traditional ideas about how humanity developed and what technologies could have been available in ancient times. Technologies that seem incredible for their time be evidence that ancient civilizations possessed knowledge that defies modern explanation. Perhaps we are only now beginning to understand that our ancestors had access to technologies that were on the level of modern science, and perhaps even exceeded it. Myths and legends. Is there hidden evidence of extraterrestrial influence? Myths, legends, and religious traditions are important elements of the cultures of every civilization. They have been passed down through generations, gaining popularity in all corners of the world. They not only reflect people's ideas about the world, but can also contain secrets that could shed light on our past. Some myths seem remarkably similar to each other, despite the geographical and cultural distance between civilizations. These similarities may be evidence that people in different parts of the world have had a common experience, perhaps related to extraterrestrial visitations or contact with aliens. The myth of gods descending from the sky. One of the most common themes in the myths of different cultures is the image of gods descending from the sky. Ancient civilizations, from the Mesoamericans to the ancient Egyptians, had myths about celestial gods who descended to earth, bringing with them knowledge, civilization, and sometimes technology. According to many myths, these gods were not ordinary mortals. They had powerful abilities that went far beyond what humans at the time could achieve. In Mesopotamia, these were the Anunnaki, who, according to legend, descended from the heavens to transmit knowledge to humanity. In other cultures, such as the Incas or the Aztecs, there are also legends about gods who came from the heavens and had extraordinary technology. These myths may be more than just fiction. Perhaps they are actually echoes of ancient contact with extraterrestrial civilizations who brought technology, knowledge, or even engineering achievements. Perhaps it was through such moments of contact that humanity received important impulses for development. Technology in ancient myths. In addition to descriptions of gods bringing civilization, some myths also point to technological advances that seem to advanced for their time. Many cultures have references to flying machines that move through the air, or to weapons that have unusual power. This may resemble descriptions of modern technology, such as flying ships or even laser weapons. For example, the Indian epics Ramayana and Mahabharata mention Vimanas as flying machines that were used to transport gods and heroes. Although these descriptions may seem fantastic, could these descriptions be impressions of real-life technologies that people observed in contact zones with extraterrestrial civilizations? Perhaps ancient people tried to explain technologies that they could not fully understand through images of gods or supernatural forces, mysterious celestial phenomena, and the descent of aliens. Some myths associate the arrival of the gods with phenomena that are difficult to explain. For example, many cultures describe celestial lights, falling stars, or the appearance of strange objects in the sky. This may be the result of observations of alien ships or other technologies that made an impression on people of that time. Perhaps ancient civilizations witnessed the fall of cosmic objects, such as meteorites or even technological devices that left traces unknown to them. The description of such events in myths may be an attempt to interpret incomprehensible celestial phenomena through the prism of religious beliefs. Myths and legends about the creation of mankind. Another category of myths concerns the creation of man himself. Many cultures have legends that tell of the creation of humans from clay or other materials, sometimes even using divine technology or knowledge. This is interesting in the context of the theory of genetic intervention, which we considered earlier. Perhaps these myths are not just fiction, but may reflect real events, genetic interference in the evolution of humanity, perhaps from extraterrestrial civilizations who used advanced biotechnology for this. Similarities of myths of different cultures. Another interesting aspect is the similarity of myths of different cultures that seem to have had no direct contact with each other. Myths about divine origin, about cosmic visitors, about incredible technologies appear among different peoples living on different continents. These similarities may be the result of real contacts that took place thousands of years ago, or perhaps they are part of a larger story that we are only beginning to understand. Could Earth have been a crossroads for different extraterrestrial civilizations? And could we have received knowledge and technology from these civilizations through direct contact? Myths about global catastrophes. Many myths also tell about great catastrophes that destroyed civilizations that existed before us. Such stories of floods, explosions, and falling stars are common in various cultures, from the biblical flood to the legends of the fall of Atlantis. Could this be an attempt to describe cosmic catastrophes associated with collisions with other celestial bodies, or the result of the influence of extraterrestrial civilizations? These catastrophes may not be simply religious narratives, but may be memories of real events that took place in prehistoric times when extraterrestrial civilizations or other great powers could leave their mark on our planet. Asterisk myths and legends are not just ancient tales. They may be echoes of real events that occurred thousands of years ago, when humanity may have come into contact with extraterrestrial civilizations or been influenced by technologies that exceed their capabilities. The variety of myths that intersect with modern concepts of extraterrestrial contact makes us wonder whether we can really believe that all this is just fiction, or whether there are hidden facts in them that are still waiting to be revealed. Unknown civilizations and their technologies, could they have left their mark on our planet? Humanity has always sought to understand its past, especially those periods when we had no documentary evidence of events. Many historical and archaeological data indicate the existence of such civilizations, which in terms of development could significantly exceed our current knowledge and technology. What if these civilizations did not just disappear, but also left their traces in our history? Could they have been part of a more complex picture in which our technology and knowledge were the result of their influence? Lost civilizations are. There's still sunken worlds. There is a large list of so-called lost civilizations, such as Atlantis, Lemuria, and others, mentions of which remained in the legends and myths of different peoples. Over the centuries, these civilizations have been the subject of numerous studies and speculations, but could these cultures really have existed? And if so, were they so technologically advanced that they left behind traces of their knowledge and achievements that we still cannot understand? Atlantis, described by Plato as a highly developed civilization that perished in a catastrophe, remains one of the greatest mysteries of history. However, could these civilizations actually be not only imaginary, but also a real part of our history. Megaliths and their mysterious technologies. One of the greatest pieces of evidence for the existence of advanced civilizations is megalithic structures such as Stonehenge, the pyramids in Egypt, and the pyramids in Central America. These structures are impressive in their precision and scale, and many archaeologists still cannot explain exactly how ancient people were able to build such structures using the technical means of the time. If these megaliths were indeed built without the use of modern tools and knowledge, this can be considered evidence that ancient civilizations had access to technology that we cannot now replicate. Could these megaliths be the remains of a great civilization that disappeared during a global catastrophe and was replaced by more primitive cultures? Flying machines in ancient texts. Many ancient myths and texts mention so-called flying machines or celestial ships in India. This is described in epic works such as the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, which mention vimanas, flying machines that had the ability to move through the sky and even cover great distances. It is believed that these vimanas were equipped with remarkable technologies, such as unmanned aircraft or even spacecraft. Similar legends appear in other cultures, describing celestial ships or alien technologies that may have been influenced by other civilizations or even extraterrestrials. Could these flying objects be real technologies created long ago by other civilizations, or are they simply mythical tales? Technologies we don't understand. Many modern archaeologists are discovering important traces of ancient technologies that are far ahead of their time. For example, the Antikythera mechanism is an ancient mechanism used for astronomical calculations. Its precision and complexity are unparalleled in that era, which raises the question, could this technology have been the result of knowledge transfer from other, more advanced civilizations? Another example is the flying stone objects or devices found in various parts of the world, which at first glance seem to be simply elements of cult practices. However, some researchers suggest that these objects may be part of a larger technological system that we do not understand due to the lack of appropriate technology. The search for evidence of extraterrestrial intervention. Modern scientists and researchers are wondering whether extraterrestrial civilizations could not only visit Earth, but also interact with us in ancient times. This question is developing through the search for evidence of the presence of alien artifacts or even possible genetic intervention, which could be the reason for our evolutionary development. Some cultures also mention beings who came down from the heavens and brought knowledge, technology, and cultural achievements. These theories are gaining new strength as more and more modern research points to the possibility that we are not the only civilization that has ever existed on Earth. What if the disappeared civilizations did not simply die, but were part of a larger picture of interaction with other advanced worlds? Possible traces of extraterrestrial intervention. There is a wealth of evidence that could indicate the intervention of extraterrestrial civilizations in our development. Archaeologists and astrophysicists continue to search for evidence of such contacts, and some even believe that the numerous mysteries of ancient artifacts may be evidence that we are not the only creators of our civilization, technologies that we cannot explain. Millions of years of ancient artifacts and celestial observations that cannot be explained. All this may be evidence that the Earth was not just found, but also given to us by other civilizations, or even aliens. Traces of ancient civilizations and technologies that we still cannot fully understand raise questions about our past. Perhaps our ancestors had access to technologies that exceed our current capabilities. Or perhaps we are not the only beings to have ever lived on this planet. Perhaps Earth is just one station in a vast cosmic network where civilizations from different worlds interacted, transferring their knowledge and technology. Is Earth an experiment? The idea that our planet could be an experiment created by other civilizations has long troubled researchers and philosophers. If we look at human history, we can see numerous parallels to the concept of an experiment. We are all part of a grand evolution, and many aspects of our planet look very strange if we take them for granted. Parallels with scientific experiments. Scientists conduct experiments to see how different variables can affect the outcome. They change conditions, monitor the development of an object, to understand how it might develop further. How does this apply to Earth? If we observe the history of the development of civilizations, we can see how certain cultural, environmental, and technological factors change dramatically. The question arises, could this be the result of the influence of outside forces? Furthermore, if we look at the diversity of human cultures and their achievements, as well as how often civilizations destroy themselves through wars or environmental disasters, this may resemble the behavior of organisms in a certain environment, where an external factor constantly influences their development. The hypothesis of extraterrestrial control. The idea that the Earth could be an experiment also includes the concept of external control. If so, could there be beings watching us? Some scientists and researchers suggest that our planet may not be just a random object, but part of a huge experiment by extraterrestrial civilizations watching how different species develop. Such hypotheses are considered bold and controversial, but given the technological achievements that seem impossible to us in past eras, it is possible to question traditional ideas about human history. The technologies we have today are unprecedented in history, so the question of external influences is becoming increasingly relevant. Evolution as part of a plan. If the Earth is an experiment, then the evolution of humans and life on the planet may not be just a random process. Could it be that at some stage in our development we had a nudge? We see many anomalies in the history of development that do not quite fit the overall picture of natural selection. Why did humans suddenly appear on the scene after millions of years of evolution? Why are we unique compared to other living beings? Perhaps evolution was not only the result of natural factors, but also of external influences. This may explain many anomalies in the development of humanity, rapid progress, great leaps in technology, as well as numerous myths and legends about gods who came and brought knowledge, interaction with other civilizations. The experiment hypothesis could also include the idea of interaction with other civilizations that are observing Earth's development. Could it be that we are part of a larger cosmic network? Perhaps Earth is not the only place where such experiments are being conducted. Perhaps many other planets in the galaxy have their own civilizations that are going through similar stages of development. This question is related to the idea of cosmic awakenings. Each new stage of civilization on Earth seems to be a response to external stimuli that change its development. Technology, culture, war, innovation, all of these may be part of a larger plan, and we are only beginning to realize the role of Earth in this cosmic experiment. Future technologies. What do we really know? If Earth is indeed an experiment, can we really understand what future technologies are? Many aspects of today's technology that seem revolutionary to us may be part of a larger plan that we are only beginning to uncover. Rapidly evolving technologies such as artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and genetic engineering may be just the first steps toward more profound changes. Could these technologies have been introduced into our culture from the outside? Or are we trying to understand them through the lens of our limited consciousness? Have we become, so to speak, guinea pigs from more advanced civilizations, trying to understand what would happen if we gained access to these capabilities? Perhaps our planet is not an accident. Perhaps we live on Earth, which has become part of a great cosmic experiment. This makes us wonder whether our development is part of a plan, or whether we are simply the result of random circumstances. The unknown forces watching us could be both ancient civilizations and aliens actively studying our existence. And if we are indeed part of the experiment, then our future is undoubtedly much more complex and mysterious than we can imagine. Energy from another world. Are there extraterrestrial energy sources on Earth? One of the biggest questions we face in the context of the development of civilization is energy resources. How exactly did humanity manage to gain access to such a huge amount of energy that allowed us to create the technologies we have today? And is it possible that the sources of this energy are not earthly, but arose under the influence of external forces? The potential of new energy sources dot in the history of mankind. There are many examples of amazing discoveries that surpass our understanding of how energy should work. Many of these technologies used unknown energy sources, such as free energy or other methods that go beyond traditional physical principles. Today, we are increasingly discovering the possibilities for using alternative energy sources, such as solar energy, wind energy, and others. But could there be energy sources that we have not yet discovered, or that appeared to us thanks to alien technologies? Since ancient times, there have been references in history to eternal energy sources that can operate continuously without reducing their capacity. This could be energy technology that other civilizations could have once transmitted. Technologies from space. Is there extraterrestrial energy? Ideas about energy from space or energy from another world have a very interesting history. Many scientists believe that our capabilities in developing energy resources are very limited and lag far behind those that civilizations more advanced than ours may have. Examples of potential extraterrestrial energy sources could include so-called dark energy, a hypothetical form of energy that, according to modern cosmology, is the cause of the accelerated expansion of the universe. But could these resources be used by other civilizations to power their technologies? These concepts open up exciting possibilities for assuming that we could access energy that is not part of the traditional natural resources of our planet. The idea of extraterrestrial energy sources could explain why we suddenly have such great technological advances. Energy structures in history. There are numerous energy structures and structures in the world that may be much older than we think. These include the pyramids in Egypt, Stonehenge in the UK, megaliths in South America, and other ancient artifacts that may not only be symbols or places of worship, but also part of a more complex energy system that was used to collect or distribute energy. These structures may be evidence that ancient Earth had technologies that were capable of harnessing energy at a completely different level than we can imagine. For example, some research suggests that the pyramids in Egypt may have used their shapes and locations to collect and store energy from the environment, including the sun and the Earth's magnetic fields. These architectural wonders may not only be objects of worship, but also parts of ancient energy systems that we do not understand. Free energy and its possibilities. The idea of free energy has a long history. Scientists like Nikola Tesla described technologies that could generate energy without limits, using vortices of electric fields and other methods that allow energy to be extracted from the environment. Tesla proposed models where energy could be obtained for free and without any cost. This leads to the question, could such knowledge have been passed down to him from more advanced civilizations? Or is it possible that he was simply recovering knowledge lost in the past? Now, although some of these ideas seem scientifically impossible, other scientists continue to work to unlock the secrets of free energy, hoping that one day humanity can access this bottomless energy. Nature and its mysteries. Can our natural resources be given to us? If Earth was created for us or given by other civilizations, could they have specifically adapted natural resources, such as oil, gas, coal, and solar radiation, so that we could use them for development? We now think of these resources as natural, but what if they were part of a grand plan for the development of civilization on Earth? Such questions make us wonder if our use of energy is actually part of a grand plan. And while science does not yet give us the exact answers, the idea that Earth may be a blueprint for extraterrestrial forces provides a new perspective on how we should treat our resources. The possibility of extraterrestrial energy technologies. If we look at the many eyewitness accounts of UFOs and other phenomena that have been recorded on Earth, we will see that many of these phenomena can be associated with new types of energy technologies. During observations of UFOs, moving at incredible speeds and performing maneuvers that are impossible for modern aircraft, Some researchers claim that these objects may use the latest energy methods. What if these technologies were transferred or introduced by other civilizations to help us find new ways to produce energy? Earth's energy resources remain a mystery, and the question of whether they are the result of external influences is of increasing interest among researchers. Perhaps extraterrestrial civilizations long ago helped us gain access to the technologies and energy resources we use today. Free energy, alternative energy sources, ancient megaliths, and even UFOs. All of these elements could be part of a larger plan that determines our future. Can we influence our future? Humanity has always sought to control its destiny. It has always wanted to know how exactly we can change the world around us. But do we really have this ability, or is it just an illusion we often try to influence our future, whether through new technologies, political strategies, or even changing consciousness? But what if our future is already determined? The theory of determinism. Determinism is the idea that every event in the universe, including our actions, is determined by previous events. If this is true, then we can conclude that our future is already determined, and we have no real influence on what will happen. This makes us wonder if we really live in a world where our every step was planned in advance. The theory of determinism can be applied to earthly history and the development of civilizations. All important events that have occurred on Earth can be the result of certain causes and circumstances that were foreseen even before our existence. It is believed that even our ability to change, our ability to progress, was designed by other civilizations to achieve a specific goal. Parallel realities and the multiverse. If we look at the scientific theory of the multiverse, it can give us a new vision of how we influence our future. The multiverse is a concept according to which there are many parallel universes that exist simultaneously. In each of them, our decisions and actions create different options for the future. The theory of the multiverse suggests that our future may not be the same. Each of our choices can give rise to new realities, and in each of them we can have different paths of development. Assuming that in each of these universes our future is built differently, this may mean that we actually have more opportunities to influence our existence than it seems at first glance. Predicting the future. What can we know? Humanity has tried to predict its future more than once. Predictions in various forms, from astrology to advanced technology, have become part of our culture. But can we really predict what will happen in the future? Are accurate predictions possible? Today, we use artificial intelligence, big data, and complex mathematical models to predict economic crises, climate change, political conflicts, and other major events. But even with all this technology, many events remain unpredictable. This may indicate that the future is not static and is influenced by many factors. However, some suggest that there are forces that can actually know what will happen to us in the near future, or even plan it in such a way as to achieve certain goals. Perhaps extraterrestrial civilizations already have technology that can predict our future or even control it. Consciousness and influencing the future. One of the most interesting topics is how consciousness can influence the reality around us. Ideas about collective consciousness and its ability to change the world around us have long been popular among scientists and philosophers. This question is on the border between psychology and metaphysics. Can we, as a collective, change our future solely through our consciousness? It is known that the human mind has an impressive capacity for self-improvement and change. What if our entire future depended on how we collectively realize our purpose and direction of development? The influence of external forces on our choices. Another interesting aspect is how external forces, such as culture, politics, technology, or even extraterrestrial civilizations, can influence our decisions. We often talk about choice, but do we really have freedom of choice when there are forces from outside that direct our decisions in a certain direction? If we are actually part of larger plans or experiments, then our future may be under the control of extraterrestrial civilizations. This suggests that our choices are not always as free as we think. Perhaps we are part of a larger cosmic mechanism, and everything that happens to us has a purpose that we cannot yet understand. Can we change our future? Ultimately, the answer to this question depends on whether we believe we can change our destiny. Some scientists and philosophers believe that our future can be changed through collective efforts, technological advances, or a deep understanding of the world. Others believe that our future is already determined, and we are simply following a certain path that was created before we were born. Perhaps this is why the question of our future is so important. We want to know if we can change the world or if it has already been planned by someone else. And while science and technology give us the ability to change some aspects of our lives, the big question we must ask ourselves is, do we really have free will? The future of humanity is a mystery. We are trying to change the course of our civilization, but there are many factors that may be beyond our control. Are we just part of a grand plan determined by invisible forces? Are there unknown life forms in our reality? For centuries, we have been trying to find an answer to one of the oldest questions of humanity. Are there other forms of life in the universe besides us? From the discoveries of scientists to the observations of inexplicable phenomena, this problem has remained in the spotlight. But what if we are unable to detect beings that already exist next to us, simply because their life forms and ways of existence are significantly different from ours? Microcosm and invisible organisms dot in our reality. There are already many living organisms that exist at the microcosm level, and which we can see only with the help of special instruments. Microbes, bacteria, viruses. These organisms are invisible to the human eye, but their existence is inseparable from our reality. However, what if there are other forms of life that are even less noticeable or completely invisible to us, because their life processes differ from those that we are used to observing? Perhaps they exist in other forms of matter or at frequencies that are not accessible to our perception. Parallel worlds and invisible civilizations. If we return to the theory of the multiverse, we will see that in one universe there can be many parallel realities, each of which has its own laws of physics and possibilities for life. In these parallel worlds there can be civilizations that have developed along a completely different path, used other resources and adapted to conditions that are significantly different from ours. Mysterious phenomena, such as UFO sightings, anomalous phenomena, or other inexplicable phenomena, may be evidence that we are not the only life forms in the universe. Perhaps we are simply unable to detect these other civilizations due to our limitations in perception, or due to the incompatibility of their technologies and methods of communication with ours. Energies we can't see. If we consider that our understanding of reality is limited, then the question of what is happening beyond our perception becomes even more intriguing. Theories such as dark matter and dark energy propose that most of the mass in the universe is invisible to us and only becomes apparent through its effects on its surroundings. Dark energy is what is causing the universe to expand at an accelerated rate, and its nature is still a mystery. Is it possible that these invisible forces are manifestations of life forms that we cannot see due to our limitations in perception? It is possible that there are life forms that cannot be detected by our senses, and that their nature may be closely related to invisible energies such as dark matter, extraterrestrial life forms. The idea that other civilizations may be present on our planet, but in a different form, remains one of the most exciting for researchers. All UFO sightings or unexplained anomalies could be part of a larger mystery. What if these phenomena are connected to civilizations that have decided to leave us alone, leaving only traces that we cannot understand? There are theories that extraterrestrial life forms may not be biological, but created through technology that far exceeds our ideas of possibilities. They could be intelligent machines that function on the basis of energy or parts that are completely unfamiliar to us. Life, as part of a simulation. What if our reality is just part of a large simulation in which we are not real living beings, but simply parts of a computer program created by other civilizations? This is one of the most radical views on our existence, which is becoming increasingly popular among philosophers and scientists. The idea that we might be part of a simulation raises the question of whether we are real living beings or just consciousness programmed to interact with this artificial reality. It could also explain all the unexplained phenomena such as UFOs, anomalies in the laws of nature, or even supernatural events. They could be errors or corrupted simulations that were created by extraterrestrial intelligences. The possibility of contact with invisible beings. Another interesting idea is that extraterrestrial life forms could exist among us, but we are unable to detect them due to the limitations of our physical reality. This could be a result of their technology or methods of existence being radically different from ours. In this case, even the contacts we observe could be just fragments of interactions that we are unable to fully understand. There are known cases when people who have experienced encounters with UFOs or inexplicable phenomena describe the feeling of being on the edge of reality and something completely different, invisible. These phenomena may be the result of contact with beings who are on a different level of reality or exist in a different physical state. Perhaps we are not the only beings on our planet. There are numerous assumptions and theories that other forms of life may exist around us, which are at the level of our perception or even deeper, in realities that we cannot detect. They can be in the form of microscopic organisms, extraterrestrial civilization, invisible energies, or even intelligent systems that we are not yet able to make contact with. Whether these beings are present in our reality and whether we can ever detect them remain questions that lead us to new horizons of research and understanding of what it really means to be alive in such a universe. Unknown civilizations or other intelligent life forms exist. Since the dawn of humanity, we have been asking, are we alone in the universe? Man has always sought to understand his place in the vast cosmos, looking at the stars and wondering if there are other forms of life that share our aspirations and hopes. Today, we are on the verge of important discoveries, but can we really find the answer to this question? And if so, what could it mean for our future? The search for life beyond Earth. With the dawn of space exploration, humanity began to search for answers to the question of the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations. For decades, we have pointed our telescopes at distant stars, trying to find planets that could support life. The Kepler mission has discovered thousands of exoplanets, some of which are located in the so-called Golden Mean Zone, an area where the temperature allows liquid water, a key element for life, to exist. However, even with so many potentially habitable planets, we have yet to find direct evidence of life beyond Earth. This could mean that there are unknown factors that limit the emergence of life or intelligent civilizations in other parts of the universe. Different life forms. Are they similar to us? Many scientists argue that we cannot assume that life on other planets will be similar to Earth. The nature of life may be much more diverse than we imagine. For example, there may be organisms in the universe that are not based on carbon, but on other chemical elements, such as silicon. This means that we may not recognize other life forms even if they are near us. Their nature may be completely different from what we are used to understanding, and this could be a major obstacle to establishing contact with them. Exploring the depths of Earth's oceans, where extreme conditions for life exist, could help us better understand what alternative life forms might be like. The Fermi paradox. Why haven't we found other civilizations? One of the biggest questions that arises in the search for extraterrestrial civilizations is the Fermi paradox. Since the universe is so old, and the number of stars and planets capable of supporting life is incredibly large, why haven't we encountered other civilizations? Yet, Perhaps we're not at the stage of development where we can detect other civilizations, or there are barriers that we don't even realize exist. Other civilizations may be so distant that even with our best telescopes, we won't be able to see them. Technological barriers and limitations. Some reason we haven't found other civilizations yet may be that we simply don't have the technology to detect them. It is possible that extraterrestrial civilizations use technologies that we cannot detect because they operate on other frequencies or principles that are unknown to us. This opens up the possibility of creating new research methods that will allow us to peer into those parts of the universe where we have not yet been able to find traces of intelligent life. In addition, it is possible that other civilizations disappear or self-destruct due to their technology before they can make contact with other intelligent species. This may be part of the natural cycle of the evolution of civilizations, where technological advances lead to their self-destruction or deep isolation. The possibility of the existence of invisible civilizations. What if other civilizations actually already exist, but they exist in another dimension or beyond our perception? Ideas about parallel worlds and other dimensions have long existed in science fiction, and today's science has also begun to consider these possibilities. Perhaps other civilizations may exist in conditions that are inaccessible to us, or use technologies that allow them to remain undetected by our science and technology. This could explain the lack of evidence of their existence and the lack of contact with them. The possibility of contact in the future dissipates all the obstacles that stand in the way of discovering other intelligent life. Future technologies may change this state of affairs. For example, new research methods, such as radioactive signals, or improvements in our ability to explore distant planets, may give us new chances to detect extraterrestrial civilizations. With technological advances that are constantly increasing, we may be on the verge of significant discoveries that will allow us to detect other forms of life. An important aspect will also be how we are prepared to accept these discoveries, and how they will change our view of the universe and our place in it. In searching for life beyond our planet, we are witnessing a new stage in our history. Perhaps we will find other civilizations, or perhaps they will find us. However, until we have sufficient evidence of the existence of extraterrestrial intelligent beings, this question will remain open. Whatever happens, the search for other life is of immense importance to humanity. It will allow us to better understand not only ourselves, but also our place in the great, boundless universe. Are we part of a grand design? In a world where science and religion often seem mutually exclusive, one question has persisted for generations. Are we part of some grand design? Billions of years of evolution have brought us to this point. 2. The ability to ask questions about the meaning of life, our purpose, and our place in the universe. But is it all a coincidence? Or are we part of something bigger and more important? Cosmic evolution, coincidence or purpose? When we consider the evolution of life on Earth, it is hard not to notice how finely tuned all its mechanisms are. The system in which living organisms evolve through natural selection creates species that are able to adapt to a wide variety of conditions. The question arises, is there any chance in this process, or is there some direction or plan behind it all? Charles Darwin's theory of evolution explains how living things change over time as a result of natural selection. But is evolution really just a random process, and can we see these changes as part of a larger plan, where each organism plays its part in maintaining the balance of nature? Symmetry and order in the universe. One of the most fascinating features of the universe is its symmetry and order. The cosmos is not chaotic or random. On the contrary, all its components, from the smallest particles to the largest structures, seem to be united in a complex but understandable system. Stars are born and die, planets revolve around their stars, and the laws of physics work the same everywhere in the universe. This symmetry may be evidence that the universe has a deeper order, rather than being random or chaotic. This suggests that life on Earth may not simply be the result of chance events, but part of some larger cosmic plan. Is there a higher intelligence? The idea that our existence may be the result of a design or plan by a higher intelligence remains popular in religious and philosophical circles. The big questions about the creation of the universe, the origin of life, and its purpose are often posed in the context of theological ideas about God or other higher powers. Of course, scientists do not have clear evidence in favor of this idea, but the question, are we part of a plan, remains open. On the one hand, evolution, natural selection, and cosmic processes seem to be a natural order that does not require the intervention of external forces. On the other hand, the very ability of humanity to ask questions about our existence may indicate that we are part of something much larger and important, randomness and determinism. There is another important question that arises in the context of this topic. Is it possible that life is not just a random set of events, but the result of a certain determinism? Scientists have long argued about whether there are mechanisms in nature that determine events in a certain order, or whether we are truly the result of random processes. Determinism proposes that every event, every change, has a cause, which is part of a larger chain of events. This chain may be endless and complex, but each step will necessarily precede the next. If so, can we really say that we have free will? And are our actions not part of a larger, inevitable plan? The role of consciousness in the universe. Our ability to ask questions about the universe, its origin and purpose allows us to see ourselves not simply as part of nature, but as part of a larger universe. Human consciousness is not only a result of evolution, but also, perhaps, a way in which we can interact with the cosmos. Some scientists and philosophers suggest that consciousness may be an important component of the very foundations of the cosmos. Perhaps we, as a species, have a specific role in maintaining the balance of the universe. This suggests that our actions and decisions are not simply random, but reflect deeper processes, the phenomenon of the meaning of life. When we consider the question of our purpose, it is important to pay attention to how people try to find meaning in their lives. This question has concerned us since the beginning of civilization. In different cultures, we find different answers, from religious teachings to philosophical reflections on self-realization and spiritual growth. Can we believe that our existence on Earth has some universal meaning, or are we simply part of a cyclical evolution that leads to new forms of life, new civilizations and new minds? This is a question that has not yet been answered, but the importance of the search for meaning is no less important for each of us. The question of whether we are part of a grand plan is an important and relevant one for humanity, given the huge number of factors that have contributed to our existence. It is difficult not to wonder if we are not the result of something greater. Of course, scientific research and technology allow us to understand this process more deeply, but the question of our purpose and role in the universe will likely remain relevant for a long time to come. Perhaps we are part of a plan that is just beginning, or perhaps we are simply an accidental product of evolution. In either case, our place in this vast cosmos is still waiting to be revealed. Are we being watched? If we live in a simulation or something beyond our understanding of reality, can we assume that we are being watched? And who exactly can be watching us? These questions have long troubled scientists, philosophers, and religious figures, and the answer to them could change our understanding of the universe and our role in it. Observation as an element of simulation. If the theory of simulation is true, then we are probably objects of observation. Perhaps our actions are being recorded, and our lives are part of an experiment or program created for some higher purpose. In the world of computer games, we are used to the fact that characters can be constantly watched by their players. And what if we are such characters in a more complex, perhaps even invisible to us simulation? The question of who exactly can be watching us seems no less important. If we live in a simulation, then it may not be just humans or intelligences we have created, but perhaps other civilizations with technology capable of controlling our reality. Perhaps we are not the only beings subject to such observation, and this may be part of a larger plan or test created beyond our comprehension. Possibility of observation by extraterrestrial civilizations. In addition to the fact that we may be observed within the simulation, there is a possibility that extraterrestrial civilizations have the ability to observe us through their technology. During space exploration, we have repeatedly encountered phenomena that seem incomprehensible and strange, and some of them may be the result of observation by other intelligent beings. The question of why we do not observe other civilizations can be explained by the fact that we simply do not have sufficient technology to detect them. Perhaps their technology is so advanced that they can remain unnoticed by us. But the very possibility that we could be being watched suggests that even if we never encounter other civilizations, they could be watching us for centuries or millennia. Surveillance through technology. What does this mean for us? In today's world, where our smartphones, computers, and even other everyday objects have the ability to record our actions, the issue of surveillance is becoming increasingly relevant. From surveillance cameras to data collection, our technology is increasingly becoming tools that allow us to monitor and observe others. But what if someone or something similar to us uses these same technologies to watch us? The idea that we are part of a vast experiment or simulation increases the importance of controlling the data we generate. After all our actions, choices, and even thoughts can be recorded and used for analysis and study. Is it possible to manipulate our actions? One aspect that we must consider is whether other intelligent beings, or even technology, can manipulate our actions. There is a theory in the world of science that highly developed civilizations can create such conditional realities where they can interfere with the processes and evolution of other beings, even if these beings are not aware of it. This raises the question of free will. If we really live under surveillance and, perhaps, under the influence of other forces, can we really talk about free will? And are all our decisions really ours? The nature of surveillance in religion and philosophy. Idea that we are under constant surveillance is also found in religious teachings. In many religions, there is the concept of a god or gods who watch over humanity, manifest their will through signs and actions, and can even influence the future of people. In some schools of philosophy, there is a notion of a higher power, or cosmic intelligence that governs all processes in the universe, including human life. These concepts can be paralleled by the idea of simulation or surveillance by higher intellectual powers. They raise questions about how we view our responsibility within the larger reality. How can we perceive our actions when we know that we are being watched? The problem of trust and control. If we are being watched, another important issue arises. Trust. Who is in control of the surveillance process? Can we be sure that the surveillance of us is benevolent and will not lead to abuse or manipulation? It is also important to consider who has access to data about our lives and who can use that information. In today's world, we already have serious problems with the protection of personal data and ensuring confidentiality. Therefore, the issue of control and trust in the context of surveillance can have serious ethical and legal implications. The idea that we live under surveillance is complex and multifaceted. If we believe that our world is part of a simulation or experiment, it calls into question many of our beliefs about freedom, responsibility, and purpose. Surveillance may be not only a technological, but also a spiritual aspect of our existence, raising the question of whether we can truly control our lives if we are influenced by other forces. If we're not alone in this vast cosmos, then perhaps we should become more aware of who is watching us and why. This will allow us to better understand our role and place in this grand experiment or plan that we may not yet fully understand. Parallel worlds. The possibility of other real issues of the most intriguing and at the same time mysterious topics that attracts the attention of scientists and philosophers is the possibility of the existence of parallel worlds if we live in a simulation, or our universe is just part of a more complex reality. Can we imagine the existence of other parallel worlds? How could this change our understanding of reality, our place in the cosmos, and what we consider to be real? What are parallel worlds? The idea of parallel worlds arose from the many worlds theory proposed within the framework of quantum mechanics. According to this theory, all possible scenarios based on quantum principles actually exist, but in different worlds. That is, every choice we make creates a new reality that exists alongside our own. Imagine that there are an infinite number of variants of our reality, where every moment of life opens up new possibilities and alternatives. According to this theory, parallel worlds can have their own laws of physics, their own versions of history, and their own peculiarities of development. Quantum mechanics and parallel realities. Quantum mechanics, which describes the behavior of elementary particles, is one of the most fundamental and complex areas of modern science. One of the key concepts of quantum mechanics is the principle of superposition, according to which particles can exist in several states at the same time, until an observation is made. This principle can be applied to larger objects, creating the idea of parallel worlds. Each state that we observe is actually just one of the possible options, and each of these options exists in a separate parallel world. This means that we may simply not be able to perceive these worlds due to the limitations of our consciousness and perception. Parallel worlds. In the theory of the multiverse, parallel worlds are also part of the broader theory of the multiverse. The multiverse assumes the existence of many universes, each of which can have its own properties, laws of physics, and even history. In some versions of the multiverse, each possibility or variant of events gives rise to a new universe. This means that there are an infinite number of variants of our universe, which are realized independently of each other. If this theory is correct, then our reality is just one of an infinite number of possible ones. This opens up new horizons for us to understand our place in the cosmos. Are there other realities where we do not exist, or where history has taken a completely different path? Parallel worlds and religion. The idea of the existence of parallel worlds has also found its place in religious and mythological traditions. Many religions claim that there are other realms or dimensions where souls reside after death, or where divine actions take place. Some religions also have the concept of many worlds or planes of existence. These can be worlds that exist in parallel with ours, but in which our physical laws do not apply or apply differently. Perhaps religious ideas about heaven or hell are just such parallel realities, where the souls of people live in another dimension after death. Can we explore parallel worlds? The idea of the existence of parallel worlds raises the question of whether we can ever explore them. On the one hand, with modern technology, it seems that we are getting closer and closer to understanding the foundations of the universe, but, on the other hand, there are a large number of factors that can limit our ability to explore parallel worlds. Quantum mechanics, as a rule, describes the microcosm, and at this level, we can observe the changes that arise from observation. But how can we study parallel worlds if they exist in separate dimensions, inaccessible to our perception? Is it possible for future technologies to create devices that can open access to these worlds? Technology and future research. If parallel worlds really exist, one of the main technological problems will be the ability to interact with them. At the moment, we only have theoretical grounds for this, but science does not stand still. Over the years, the development of science and technology has opened up new possibilities that we could not imagine a few decades ago. There are ideas about using quantum computers that can work with parallel states, creating new ways to explore the multiverse. We cannot also exclude the possibility of developing technologies to study other dimensions, although this remains a great mystery for modern science. The idea of parallel worlds opens up huge horizons for understanding our place in the universe. If we really live in a multiverse, where there are an infinite number of variants of reality, then this changes our idea of what reality is, and how we can interact with other dimensions. Perhaps our limitations in the perception of reality are only part of a broader process where we simply cannot see all these worlds. However, science and technology give hope that one day we will be able to understand more about how these parallel worlds interact with ours. Future technologies, are they the key to understanding our reality? Future technologies are constantly changing our lives, opening up new horizons in science, medicine, and even philosophy. But beyond the fact that we use these tools to make everyday tasks easier, could they also be the key to a deeper understanding of our reality, our existence, and the potential simulation we live in? A step to exploring the depths of reality. Since the dawn of humanity, we have been creating technologies to expand the boundaries of our perception and understanding of the world. From the first tools that allowed us to hunt to telescopes that opened up the depths of space, every step has been part of our quest to learn more about reality. And today's technologies, such as artificial intelligence, AI, quantum computers, and neuroscience, may become the tools that will help us find answers to questions that seemed unattainable. For example, artificial intelligence is already actively used to study complex systems and to model big data. Perhaps with its help, we will be able to investigate whether our reality is simulated, or whether we are trying to understand deeper levels of existence by creating and controlling realities themselves. Artificial intelligence as a tool for exploring reality. Artificial intelligence has a powerful potential that has not yet been fully realized. Today, AI is able not only to help automate routine processes, but also to make predictions based on large amounts of data, which allows us to better understand the patterns of reality. But can AI help us explore the reality itself in which we live? Assuming that we are in a simulation, AI can become a tool for identifying its limits and possible errors that indicate the artificiality of our reality. Ideas about using AI to study quantum processes and create models of the multiverse are already gaining popularity among researchers. Perhaps the greatest potential of AI in this area lies in its ability to create virtual worlds where hypotheses can be tested and our ideas about reality challenged. If we can create an artificial reality that comes close to the real one, it could help us understand the foundations of our own reality. Quantum computers, the key to new levels of research. Quantum computers are another technology that has enormous potential for understanding reality. Thanks to their ability to process huge amounts of information in a short time, quantum computers can help us solve complex problems that are impossible to solve using classical computers. One area in which quantum computers can change our reality is in the study of quantum fluctuations and natural processes at the smallest levels. In simulation theory, this could mean the ability to create complex models of reality that will allow us to understand whether our universe is just one of many simulations or whether it is part of a larger reality. Quantum computers can become the basis for studying the connections between universes, intersections of realities, and the multifaceted nature of our existing reality. They are capable of solving problems that have so far been beyond the reach of modern science, so their role in exploring the depths of existence can be irreplaceable. Neuroscience, understanding consciousness and perception of reality. Consciousness and perception of reality are another aspect that science is trying to reach through neuroscience. How do we perceive the world around us? Is our consciousness the result of biological processes in the brain? Or is it a reflection of deeper processes associated with a simulated reality? Neuroscience opens up the possibility of investigating how the brain creates our experience of reality. Identifying the mechanisms by which the brain integrates signals and creates a picture of the world may give us the key to understanding whether our world is real or is it just a projection created by our consciousness or external factors that we do not control. If we believe we can live in a simulation, then understanding the nature of consciousness becomes even more important. If we could manipulate consciousness, could we change or even exit the simulation? Blockchain and its role in reality. Blockchain technologies, which have gained popularity thanks to cryptocurrencies, could play an important role in understanding how we interact with reality. Blockchain is a data distribution technology that allows for the creation of transparent, immutable ledgers without the need for intermediaries. In the world of simulations, this could mean the possibility of creating code blocks of reality that may not be accessible to manipulation from the outside. Imagine that blockchain becomes the basis for creating and preserving realities, where each new block is an element of a new reality or a new possible option. This technology could help us preserve the truth about our world or even build new realities where we can change the conditions of existence. The possibility of developing new technologies. The greatest intrigue that we are only beginning to understand the potential of new technologies and their application in the study of reality is only just beginning. In the future, even more revolutionary technologies may appear that will radically change our understanding not only of technologies, but also of the nature of realities themselves. Perhaps in the coming decades, we will learn that the ability to manipulate reality is not something extraordinary. It is quite possible that the technologies that we are only beginning to understand may become the key to discovering the depths of existence, and we will be able to determine whether we really live in a simulation. The technologies of the future may become the foundation on which we build our understanding of reality. Artificial intelligence, quantum computers, neuroscience, and other technologies open up new opportunities for the study and manipulation of reality. And, perhaps, it is these tools that will help us find the answer to the question of whether we live in a simulation or whether there is another, more complex reality that we are not yet able to understand.